Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Hey, this is Ashley Spillers, and you're listening to Zero Dark Nerdy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Zero Dark Nerdy, the world's most notorious pop culture podcast. This is your boy Brian, a.k.a. El Nino, and today I'm joined with...
Ryan Saber, Captain Cleveland Browns, Cavs, Indians, CLE till I die. Look at her face. I love it. You're getting into it.
We have with us today, I guess, I want to say in studio, but really via satellite like the rest of the world during the pandemic. Yeah. You may know her from roles as Elizabeth in Las Vegas, Rosen's wife in War Dogs, which we'll get to that in a minute, and of course the lovely Miss Swift from Vice Principals, the one, the only Ashley Spillers. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
No, thank you for having me.
Oh, no worries at all. So, real quick, why was it that your name was only Rosen's wife on War Dogs? We have to figure this out here because we got to make sure we can do better than that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good question. Who wrote that,
IMDb.
I think it was Mr. Todd Phillips who, I guess, decided she didn't deserve a name. But no, that was fixed, even though it wasn't fixed in the credits.
Okay.
It is a funny story. When I got that job, I was so excited, and I went to work, and I was in my trailer getting ready for the day, and Todd Phillips came and knocked on my trailer, and he kind of had like a little bit of not an attitude, because that's not a nice thing to say, but he was definitely, it was the first time I'd met him. Mm-hmm. Since getting the part was the day I went to work.
Okay.
And so he came by to introduce himself, but it was like he wanted to make sure that I was the real deal, like that I was gonna bring it or something. Okay. He was just like, this is the first time we'd met, and I just wanted to come by and make sure, if actors show up on my set and they don't know all their lines, I can get rid of you in 2 seconds and call the sound guy over and he can come play the part. And I was like, wow. Okay. I mean, it was sort of suggesting that maybe I was not a professional, which was really interesting. And so he wanted to run the scene with me and him right there in the trailer before we actually went to set and began shooting. And he was surprised when I knew my words.
God forbid.
Yeah. And then, he asked I see it's Rosen's wife here, have you thought about what her name actually might be? And that's when I said, well, yeah, actually I have. I thought my name should be Emily Rosen. That's my name, because I had to give myself a name because you didn't. But it actually ended up being a really great thing, because I went to work that day and it went so well that when they called lunch, we went on a break. He called me over and he was like, I want to talk to you for a little bit. And we talked for about 15, 20 minutes, just the two of us on lunch break, because he said he was so impressed with my work that day that he actually invited me to come back the next week for another scene that I wasn't originally written into, because he wanted me to be there. So I ended up getting more work, and he was a wonderful person. I think maybe he's had some experiences in the past with people in smaller roles not being prepared or something.
Sure.
So he felt like he had to come in like guns blazing, but it ended up being a great experience.
He had awesome. He had that Bradley Cooper bum in Hangover, and I'm sure that just helped. Yeah. All right. So I want to take a right turn here. I want to know a little bit about you. Okay. So I know you're from Houston, right?
Yeah. Actually, outside of Houston, Sugar Land.
Okay. Interesting thing about Houston, it's the second largest city by size in the United States. Do you know what the first one is?
By size. Is it Los Angeles?
It's Jacksonville, Florida. And I always, crazy, right? I love telling people from Houston that, because they're like, oh my God, Houston's so big. But Jacksonville's even larger just by the sheer size of the city limits themselves.
That's very surprising.
Fun fact. You can surprise your friends and family when you go home with that one.
I will. Thank you.
So you're from LA. or excuse me, you're from Houston, now you live in LA.
That's right.
What is the thing you miss most about home? And what is the thing you love most about LA?
Ooh, good
Oh
question.
God. I guess the thing I miss most about home is, I don't know, just that like Texas. There's a feeling, you know what I mean? It's like a friendly, laid back feeling, and the food. I love the food.
Barbecue?
Barbecue, the Tex-Mex Mexican food is
Yeah.
so good there. It's different than California Mexican food. I just miss the food. There's some really good food. And what do I like the most about
What do you like the
California?
most about LA?
About LA?
Well, when it used to be LA, now it's been shut down for a year,
Right.
right?
Yeah. I think I like get the thing I like most about LA is getting out of LA to the outskirts and like going into the mountains,
Yeah.
or there's so many cool places outside of Los Angeles that are easily accessible. So I love that because I love being outside. And yeah.
One of the things that LA traffic is horrific. I mean,
Oh, it's
obviously you
terrible.
live there and you know it, but one of the things that just is stuck in my mind, and this is a picture you see every year, and I think it's during Thanksgiving, the stopped traffic the day before Thanksgiving at nighttime, where all you see are the taillights of cars going this way and the headlights just stop for like miles and miles and miles. That's LA every year. And when I think of LA, that's the image I get in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's LA, not during a pandemic, that's LA every day at 5. It feels like, I mean, anytime I've been leaving anywhere around that time and you just make that turn and you're kind of hope, like, as you're getting on the freeway, like, please, 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 oh, it's just like a sea of
It's
cars.
terrible.
So to Saba's point there with the traffic, when you're normally going to auditions, like how early do you leave for these auditions, especially based on the LA traffic? I can only imagine.
Yeah, you should always leave, I mean, at least an hour
Okay.
before. I think can be pretty safe depending on what time it is, which I'm kind of notoriously just right on time or a little bit late, which is terrible. Um, oh,
Oh, don't worry. It's Ashley. She's always late.
yeah, but
She'll
she's
be here.
nice, so maybe we'll give her a break.
Who are your influences? Who inspired you when you were younger?
Oh God, so many. I mean, so many, just so many people. No,
All of them.
all of them. I mean, movies. I loved movies, so that's really what did it, was watching all these movies. But as far as people who I love, who I would think like, oh man, I want to take some of that or have some of that, or just can only hope. I really loved Sigourney Weaver, weirdly. I
Love
mean,
that.
Nice.
maybe that's not weird. She's wonderful because one of my favorite movies as a kid was Gorillas in the Mist.
Mhm. I
If you're-
remember.
yeah, Diane Fossey, and
Mhm.
and she was just so amazing in that. And so that really, I mean, that was a big one for me. And then as I got older, I just started discovering more people because I watched so many things. But like Holly Hunter, I just think
Love her.
is so fantastic. Frances McDormand is just like
Oh,
one of the most incredible creatures. I don't even know what to
Yes.
call. She's not just human; she's more than that. Yeah, I mean, so many people.
It's great.
Yeah, they're just so good.
So, okay, then I'm gonna put you on the spot. Who is your favorite? Maybe not now, because that's a little weird, right? Because you work with some of these people, but growing up, who was your favorite actor, actress, actor?
Growing up, it was a different flavor of actor,
Yeah,
right? So like
absolutely.
I loved Drew Barrymore
Oh, yeah.
so much. I
Yeah.
mean, I felt like we were kindred spirits or something when I was like young, and the person who I was just like, oh, that I would just watch any of her movies, didn't matter how bad they might have been, or she just always lit up whatever she was doing for me.
That's great. That's a
She's
great
just
answer.
weird and wonderful,
Yeah.
and she just seemed great. And I loved E.T. What kid didn't? And she was Gertie in E.T. And I mean, I loved that movie.
I did too.
Yeah, who
Who doesn't
didn't?
love
Come
E.T.?
on.
Such a good movie. The as we are getting into Christmas season here, do you have, and we had an episode on this last year, we just recorded favorite Christmas songs this past weekend. Do you have, like, I guess, two-part question, like an all-time favorite Christmas movie and an all-time favorite Christmas song, or just a Christmas song that you just cannot stand at all whatsoever?
What's your favorite Christmas movie and why is it Die Hard? That's what I want to know. No, I'm just
That's
kidding.
not my favorite Christmas movie. As a matter of fact, the other night I was here with my fella. We lived together, so he was here too. But Die Hard was on one of in the little boxes on one of the things, and he was like, "Oh, Die Hard," and I was kind of like, "No, we're not watching that one. That's not what I want to watch." I mean, I love A Christmas Story. That's too good. That kid is so funny in that. Another holiday movie I like. Did you ever see Home for the Holidays?
Oh, yeah.
I guess it's more of a Thanksgiving movie, maybe, but it's Holly Hunter and Robert Downey junior and it's directed by Jodie Foster, which is so
God,
good.
I haven't seen that movie in years, but you're right. That is a good one.
That is a good
It's
one.
hilarious. It's so funny. I think I like 90s movies a lot.
Me too.
Oh, God, yeah. God, yeah. And then as far as like Christmas songs, is there one that just sticks out to you that's just, you hear it and you're not turning it off, even if it's the middle of July?
Have you ever heard that one? It sounds like it's a kid singing it, and it's like, I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. Only a
love that one.
hippopotamus will do.
I love that.
one.
That was pretty good. That was
Thanks.
pretty good.
Was that you actually that did that one?
Yeah, maybe it could be. I could do a remake or
Yeah,
something.
you could. I think you just did.
Similar voice.
I want to look. I really want this whole thing to be about you, right? But I gotta ask you a couple questions, and it's about vice principals. I'm sorry, and I'm sure you get this all the time, but the Miss Swift character, you were amazing in that. And I went back and I was watching some of the of the 2 seasons just to sort of prepare, and
Yeah.
the interactions with you and Danny McBride are just it's epic, right? Like, how could you keep a straight face? Like, okay, I'll go back to that. Let me ask another question before you answer that. Like, he's so good at playing an asshole, right? But I have to believe, like, in real life, he's just the sweetest guy, right?
He is the sweetest guy.
Like, he just seems like he is. Yes. So, okay. So now that everybody understands that this guy is actually just playing an asshole, but he's really a nice person. So how do you keep a straight face when he's like berating you like that?
It's very hard, and a lot of the time I did not. I mean, there were times when Jody Hill, he directed the first season where I think of one scene in particular where I just no matter what I did, I could not stop messing up the take by laughing when we're in a gym and he comes in and they're decorating the gym or something and he's pissed about how it's coming together and he says something like, it looks like a fart in the wind or something. And that every time I stood there and just went, and I would have to just like put my head down and try and turn the laugh into some kind of like
ugly face.
Face and Jody was like, Ashley, you can't laugh on this one. Try to keep it together. Okay. But it was very difficult, and that happened a lot. I mean, he's so funny.
He's a genius, and the reality is he wasn't the only genius on that show, and I'm glad you said it like that. Walton Coggins is. Talk to me about just the opportunity for 2 years, 2 seasons, to watch those two guys. How much do you learn from those guys who are just so great at what they do? And I'm going to say, I think Walton Coggins is probably one of the most underrated actors in Hollywood. I don't think he gets nearly enough credit. But just talk about kind of just the time spent watching those guys, what
Yeah.
you learn from those guys, those kind of things.
Oh God, so much. I mean, it was such a just like joy and privilege to get to be there, because I come in and out a lot, but I
Right.
would purposely, got to a point where when I got comfortable with everybody where I stopped going back to my trailer in between, my scenes, and just I would stay and watch the monitor and watch everything that was happening, because it was like, you can't walk away from this. Everything that they do, especially together, I mean, individually, they're both geniuses, I think, in their own ways. And together, they're just a match made in heaven. And the way they just play off of one another, they are each so present and so just fully like steeped in their characters that anything can happen. And they would go off script. The things they were throwing back and forth, they were just so free. And that's the thing I took the most. They took major risks, both of them. They would just do things and say things and be just crazy stuff would fly out of their mouths and you were like, what? And it was
Fearless.
just so fearless. And Walton is such a cool guy. We weren't super close for the first season because we didn't have a whole lot of interaction. I mean, on set we'd see each other and he was nice, but the second season we were around each other a bit more. And he actually invited me over one night to come by and have margaritas at his house, just the two of us, because he realized after we'd had a scene that we hadn't really gotten to know one another, and he wanted to do that. And we just sat and talked about acting, and he told me about him coming up and gave me advice and told me that I was right where I needed to be. And to this day, it's one of the most special conversations and moments that I've had with another actor who was just being so generous with their time.
It's a great story.
They're amazing. I mean, they're just both. It seems so long ago now, and also like it was yesterday, because for me as an actor, that was my first like recurring role on a show where I got to be with a group of people like that for so long. And same thing with that. I was meant to only be in about 3 episodes of the show. And then after the second episode, Danny came up to me in the trailer and he asked me like, are you enjoying it? Are you having fun? And I said, yeah, are you kidding? I'm having a blast. And he was like, you think you'd want to come back a little more often? We're thinking maybe it's, going well. Maybe we can work you in more. And so that's what they did. They like gave me longevity on that show because they are generous, and when they see something that's working, that's kind of how they work. They're like, oh, this works, we're going with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, same with Edie Patterson, who is also a genius on the show. I mean, she's Miss Abbott and she's crazy. And same thing happened with her. I mean, her part just grew and grew kind of organically because she's so incredible.
She's like
out of this world.
Yeah.
Out of this
Righteous
world.
Gemstones, especially.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Not only
Goodness
vice principal,
gracious.
Righteous Gemstones. I mean, she's fantastic. But just to put a bow on it, I love, if you can't tell, Walton Coggins so much. The Boyd Crowder character on Justified. I mean, he is. It's like he's just, man. He just draws you. He draws you in, and Danny McBride. Obviously, I don't want to shortchange him either. But I loved hearing that story when you were telling that story about them doing just the acts of kindness, the Walton situation with the margaritas, and then Danny. Like I got butterflies. Like that is. I'm just that's great. It's great stuff.
That's a real deal, and I've done enough now where I've learned like that doesn't always happen.
Right.
People do not have to do that. They do not have to go out of their way like that. And they're really unique and special in that way. When that was over for me, I wept because it was like, I don't know if anything is ever going to be the equivalent of this, and just how unique this experience has been,
That's great.
Well, on that note, too, as far as what's coming up next, I know you can't spill too many beans, but, as far as 2021, I guess kind of a 2-part question here, too. What is, for those of us that aren't on the West Coast, that don't live in LA, what is kind of the scene like as far as auditions? Are they all like remote now to where you have to kind of do them like this? And then to that point too, what do you have coming up as far as, roles? I know you love the independent film scene as
Mhm.
well. Like what do you have coming up in 2021 that you can allow us and the fans to know
Sure.
about?
Yeah. No, it's been really weird as far as the pandemic and being an actor, especially for someone like me and kind of where I'm at. I still, feel very much like on my way trying to, I'm still clawing, trying to like
Yeah.
work my way into anything I end up being a part of. And so I'm not just getting phone calls left and right like some folks are.
Quit calling me.
Leave me alone.
Jeez, Marty, quit calling me.
I pray for the day. But it's been weird. At first it was very slow where I thought, am I ever going to have another audition again? And then
Right.
in the last few months, it started picking up, but a few have been over Zoom like this. And then a lot of them, you're just taping yourself and sending them to your agents to send on. And so it's a lot of just working with what you've got and, last minute they come through and you just gotta that night all of a sudden when you've just been sitting around all day like shit I gotta like do something here.
Take my PJs off.
Yeah, so it's been a lot of that, which is it's all right. I do a lot of voiceover auditions too,
Mhm.
and so that kind of leads into what I have been working on. I've been working on a couple of animated shows, doing voiceover for them, which I've been so lucky to be able to do
Yeah.
in the studio in my house that I had to set up
Nice.
because we're recording full-on episodes of these shows just from right here, and I can't talk about them
Sure.
unfortunately.
Sure.
One is, I guess I can say, it. It's a reboot of a classic that I'm so excited to be a part of. And it's a kids show, but it's one that you probably know and love. I've yet to find someone who isn't excited about it. But I don't it sucks so bad.
We're gonna have you back
Yeah,
on
we'll have you back
when
on
you
when it's
can talk
official.
about it.
I know I wanted to say, I was like, you would be so much more excited to talk to me after this.
We'll still be excited to
Well,
talk.
we-
Anytime you
we
want to
love
come
it.
on, you are always welcome on this
Yeah.
show.
Oh
Well,
yeah. Oh
thank
yeah.
you.
Promote anything.
Yeah. And you did voiceover work on Red versus Blue,
I
right?
did.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Halo
that
series.
was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were
Oh, wow.
you played Huggins, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Huggins. She was like a little light beam. Joe Nicolosi
Mhm.
is a friend of mine from Austin. He's a director. He's who pulled me onto that. He
Okay.
was directing at the time. He's great. But yeah, that was so much fun. So I've done voiceover over the years for sure. I've finally taken it to like the next level and I'm getting to do some really, really fun stuff now. So I'm sorry that I can't say more.
It's
Part of
okay.
me was like, what if I just do it? And then I thought, no,
Nope.
what are you doing? They told you
No,
to
no,
try
no. We don't want
things.
to be the reason you get
That's
in
how we.
trouble.
That's a reason for you to come back.
That's right.
So I'm
That's
gonna
right.
I'm gonna get off movies for a second. We're gonna go back
Sure.
and forth a little bit here. You said you liked food.
Oh, I
You are
love
very passionate about food.
Oh, yeah.
I have a really important question for you about food.
What?
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No,
Why
right?
not?
Thank
What is
you.
the is a
Thank
hot
you,
dog
Ashley.
a sandwich? Think about it.
I get it. It's bread and there's stuff in between the bread.
It's
I
not a
just
sandwich.
don't think of it as a sandwich.
Is a hamburger a sandwich?
No.
Well, no. Oh, well, see, I would think of that as definitely closer to a
Yes.
sandwich.
Okay.
It's closer, yes.
I think this is an age old debate. I mean, this is something that is. Have you never heard this as a hot dog a sandwich thing before?
No, I haven't.
This is an age old debate. We have it in my house all the time. I've been with my girlfriend for 10 years, and I've been trying to convince her for 10 years that a hot dog's a sandwich. and we go places and we'll be at bars and I bring this up. So, just you being a person who's passionate about food, I figured this would be right up your alley.
I love any questions about food. I love jokes about food. Yeah, I don't know that a hot dog is a sandwich.
So you're official. Your final answer. You are officially a part of the hot dog is not a sandwich crew.
I guess yes, I am, but I feel. Well, I just feel badly about that. It's fine.
It's okay. We're still friends.
Yeah, stick with your answer. You're good.
Yeah, I'm thinking of having a sandwich for dinner. I want to make a grilled cheese, but like a fancy one.
Okay, let's talk about that because that sounds delicious.
Yeah.
When you're talking fancy grilled cheese, we talking like Gruyere and all that stuff?
Well, yeah, but one specifically, it was a recipe in the New York Times, and it has goat cheese and caramelized onions and pear and crunchy sourdough bread.
Yes.
Even Kalamata olives, which I'm like, ooh, crazy. But I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna have it either with a beer or some red wine.
So you got the salty, you got a little bit of sweet in there. That's a home run. That is a home run grilled cheese right there.
I think so
we
too.
We might need some feedback on that. We're gonna need an email with a picture and a description on there.
Sure.
So we're going to learn more. Next time we talk to you, we're going to learn about this grilled cheese. You're going to have to remember. We're going to learn about the voiceover work that you're doing.
Yes.
I'm just making a running list here.
Okay, great. No, please. I'm coming back.
What you got, Behind?
So continuing to stay deep out there, I think we saw glimpses of him or her a second ago. Willow.
Yeah.
Willow.
She's behind the computer
Okay. Now. Yeah, I thought I saw her briefly, but yeah, wanted to talk about Willow, what kind of dog she is, how long you had her, all that fun stuff.
Willow is a monster. Willow is part chow and part terrier and part something else probably.
Okay.
We've had her a little over 2 years. We got her from the Pasadena Animal Shelter nearby. And when she was about 5, so she's a little over 7 now. And she's a handful. She's something else, which I love about her.
Mm-hmm.
It's like now when I see people with these like doodles that are so sweet and just want to, go up to anyone and say hello, I'm kind of like, you don't even know what it is to really have a dog, a street dog who doesn't like any other dogs and wants to kill them all. And because that's Willow, but she's the most wonderful dog to us. I mean, she's just the sweetest and the best, and she's never gone to the bathroom in the house, not once. She makes no messes. She's like the perfect dog in so many ways, and then also just a nightmare sometimes. She tried to kill our neighbor's dog. She got it in her mouth once and whipped it around like a squirrel, and she was gonna kill it if we didn't stop her, and thank God she didn't. We got the dog out of the mouth. Somehow the dog was fine, but I mean, we had a moment where we were like, Jesus, we gotta kill her, and
we got a killer on our hands.
She is. So we have to take a lot of precautions with her, but somehow she's totally worth it. And
well, she sounds lovely.
She is. She really is. But that's her.
Nice. I guess I only have a couple more questions left, and we got to ask the experience with scenes with De Niro. As far as you as an actress, kind of just give us a rundown on how that went, how he is working with him, all that, because I'm sure. I mean, I can maybe do voice acting. I can never be a real actor or actress like yourself, because just like how you were saying earlier with the whole not being able to keep it together for Danny McBride, I think like Todd Phillips would have kicked me off a while ago. Yeah. I would have not even made it on set if I'm ever in front of Todd Phillips. So how does someone like yourself, just coming up, getting your foot into Hollywood and all that, then all of a sudden you're starting to do scenes with De Niro, what's your kind of mental process on getting ready for that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know what to do. Are you kidding me? I mean, it was like I auditioned for it. I got that job out of Texas. I was still living in Texas in Austin when I got that. And it was something I had put myself on tape for. I had no idea that the scene I was reading was going to be opposite someone like Robert De Niro.
Sure.
So I think I was relaxed in the process because of that.
Yeah.
And then I just got this call probably a month and a half later that I got the part and that all my work was going to be with pretty much only De Niro. And I mean, I lost my mind.
Yes.
And we shot that in Atlanta. So they flew me to Atlanta and they put me up in a fancy hotel at the Ritz-Carlton downtown. And I could not sleep the night before.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like I just, the guy at the front, when I checked in, the concierge guy, I was so excited when I checked in, you know, he was like, "Are you here with the movie?" And I said, yeah, I am, you know, and I was like, "Oh, my scenes are with Robert De Niro." There was no being like, oh, come on. I was so excited. Like I could not keep it together. And so he sent me up a bottle of wine to my room to congratulate me with a card telling me, you know, like that I was going to be great the next day. He was so nice. And just walking onto the set, I'd heard so many stories because that's what happens when you get a job with someone like Robert De Niro. Everyone who has ever heard anything about working with Robert De Niro has something to say about it. So I heard a lot of like, oh, I heard, you know, he's not very nice and he's probably not going to want to talk to you or this or that. And I did not have that experience at all. From the moment I walked on the set, you know, he introduced himself as Bob.
I knew you were going to say that was going to be my question. Did he introduce himself as Bobby? Because that's a whole thing, right? Like, this is Robert De Niro, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Bobby. It's nice to meet you." You're like, you're not fucking Bobby. You're Robert fucking De Niro.
Yeah. No, he said, hey, I'm Bob. And then he was like, so, you know, do you want to work the scene out a little bit? You know, maybe we can run it a little or just work through it, you know, which I appreciated so much because it immediately put me at ease. He was treating me like a fellow actor.
That's awesome. And
he wanted to work it out. So we tried it, you know, where I walk into the apartment with him and we do all these things. And then he was like, "Man, no, this doesn't feel right. Why would I invite you into the apartment? I'm trying to get you out of here." So let's not do that. And he had a little flip phone. He didn't have a smartphone at the time. He just had this little flip phone. So every now and then he'd like, hang on, I gotta go take this real quick. So we'd walk off with his flip phone. He was a lot shorter than I expected him to be.
Yes.
But he was so kind. He gave me kisses on my cheek. He was just, it was so.
He's a gentleman.
He was a gentleman. He knew what a big deal it was for me, but he was just great. It was great. I had a wonderful experience.
You got some stories.
It's so fun. I can't believe it sometimes. I'm like, little old me. Like, I mean, like, I was a little chubby kid in Sugarland, Texas. You know what I mean? Like, anytime I said I wanted to be an actor when I was a kid, it was kind of like, yeah, okay, Ash, you know, sure thing. And so for even these moments to happen, I never take them for granted. I am constantly like pinching myself going, oh, okay, I just hope this isn't the last time. Please, you know, so it's just, he's wonderful.
I get
how do you prepare for that? I mean,
you don't.
Right.
And I get the feeling this isn't going to be the last time you have those kind of opportunities.
Agreed.
If you weren't an actress, an actor, what would you have been?
I probably would have been. I mean, when I was a kid, you know, it's like a lot of kids probably. I was like, I'm going to be a marine biologist and work with orcas.
An anesthesiologist.
But I was actually on the way because I did go to school and not for acting. I went for sociology and German. So I was probably on my way to doing something in like social work or something like that. I mean, I never really knew. I wanted to be so many things. I changed my major like 8 times in college. It was a real problem. I could not settle. You know, I would go see a movie and then I'd be like, "Ooh, Nicole Kidman was a a translator in that movie. That looked cool. I think I want to be a translator. I'm going to work at the UN, you know, and I would change my major to international relations for a second. And I'd be like, I don't think that's what I want to do. I mean, I do want to travel, but I don't think I want to be a translator. So, you know, I hopped around a lot. So the possibilities are endless of what I could have been.
I could have been anything.
Yeah. Nothing with too much math. It's never been my forte. Numbers. I'm bad with money.
So, as far as pop culture goes, are there any particular, you know, obviously we're all gigantic cinephiles. We love movies. Are there any genres of movies that that you like gravitate to, whether as far as professionally or just, you know, you're sitting around the house with Willow and your fella, and you know, as far as that music, anything else, like what are some of the things that just, you know, that you're just super into that the fans want to know about?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm so open when it comes to movies because when I find myself being like, I don't want to watch that. That's kind of like maybe actually you should. That response that you're having, maybe you should. But some things I love. I mean, I love watching foreign films. I particularly tend to love movies like Italian movies. Last night I finally watched a movie I'd been meaning to watch forever called The Great Beauty. I don't know if you've heard of it, but you should go see it. It's wonderful. It's kind of in the realm of like, you know, did you ever see Cinema Paradiso? It's a great, another Italian wonderful movie. Probably, I don't know when it was made. Probably not as long ago as I think, maybe like in the 70s or something.
Okay.
But it's wonderful. So I tend to be drawn toward kind of like these grand romantic big stories, which that one is. You know, it's all about like the meaning of life and this man who's been this hotshot journalist his whole life in the social scene, and he gets older and he starts to realize like how empty his life has actually been, and the thing he's been searching for was not in anything that he's been doing. And you know, I love that. I'm kind of a romantic in that way, but also I like sci-fi stuff. I mean, it's not a movie, it's a show, but I very unexpectedly loved Battlestar Galactica so much. I could not get enough of it. It was wonderful. I like dark comedies. I like darkly funny things, because I don't find a lot of things these days super funny, if I'm being really honest. I think comedy,
the shticky stuff, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't find a lot of things super funny. I guess I find dark things funny. But I'm trying to think of something that comes to me that I think is really funny that's maybe unexpected. I don't know. Maybe it'll come to me.
It will.
Yeah, it will. But these are things, you know, I don't know.
I think I'm certainly not a foreign film guy. I'm pretty lazy when it comes to like the movies. I'm like I like superhero movies. I like mafia movies, those kind of things. But yeah, it's always nice to get the perspective of somebody who's a little bit more cultured than I am.
Well, you know, it does take work though, because you're having to read it, and it is.
Yes.
I mean, I can't turn on. Listen, I'm not doing this every night. You know, I also have to go, okay, I'm going to really sit here and be invested and read what's happening, because there's no like eating and watching, you know, you can't do
you're
that.
Focused.
You have to be there. So I do understand that. Not every night is a night for an Italian film.
An Italian epic. Let me ask you this one. This is a tough one. I've asked this to a couple guests that we've had, and it's always interesting the answer we get. And I'm going to tell you mine just to kind of break the ice, okay?
Okay.
What's a movie that a lot of people like that you don't? So mine is Gladiator. Okay, like when Gladiator first came out, and I tell this story, Brian's heard me tell this story multiple times. You know, I saw Gladiator several weeks after it came out, and I spent weeks, I was in high school, I spent weeks, people were talking about how great this movie Gladiator was, and I finally went and saw it, and I was like, I mean, it's good, but it's not like it's not like the best movie I've ever seen. So what's a movie like that like it's a very like famous movie that a lot of people like that you're just like, not really my cup of tea?
Not my cup of tea. I'm very generous with movies, so I will often find the things to like. But I gotta say, it's kind of a more recent-ish one.
Mhm.
But and you're a superhero movie.
I knew this was.
so
I knew you were gonna do this.
I hope
Let 'em have it.
you're not offended. But I did not like Captain Marvel. I could barely get through it. I thought it was boring.
That's
And
that's pretty common. That's a pretty common take.
it is?
Yes.
Because I mean, I just know how much Brie Larson is so loved,
She's great.
and she's great. But I did not like that movie. I did not like it.
So let me do the flip side.
Another one?
Let me do the flip side.
Okay.
So what's a movie that a lot of people doesn't have a lot of critical acclaim? And listen, let's go mainstream on this because your library of movies that you've seen is clearly entirely different than mine.
Sure,
But like a guilty pleasure, like a movie that a lot of people don't necessarily like. Mine is Hudson Hawk. Have you ever seen the movie Hudson Hawk with Bruce
No.
Willis?
No.
Bruce Willis, Danny Aiello. Came out in the early 90s. They're cat burglars.
Uh-huh.
And while they're doing their jobs, performing their robberies, they sing jazz songs. So they know how long the robbery is going to take, and they have such this catalog of jazz songs. So they're like, oh, it's going to take 4 minutes and 37 seconds. He's like, ooh, Mac the Knife. And they start singing Mac the Knife. While, listen to me, it's actually pretty good. So you got to check it out. So what's a movie like that just doesn't have a lot of critical acclaim? A lot of people don't like, but you love it.
I think it's kind of easy, actually. Do you remember the movie Duplex with
Yes.
Ben Stiller and Drew Barrymore? I think that movie is so funny. I
It's a
think
good
it's
movie.
hilarious. But anyone I tell that to, where I'm like, have you seen Duplex? It's hilarious. If they've seen it, they're like, that movie was terrible. It was not funny. Or they're just like, no, and I'm not going to watch it. I mean, it's just people don't seem to like that movie, which I do not understand because I think it is so
I like it too.
You do?
I do.
It's a good film.
Yeah, I think it's great. Duplex. I think it's really, really funny.
You got anything else, Brian?
I think we went through everything there, man. I'm good. If you're good,
I am.
I know you got a hard stop coming up too. That I know you want to get ready for, Ashley. So
Oh,
I-
look, we're good. I mean, we're
I can't thank you enough. This conversation, we've done a lot of interviews. This is one of the, if not the best, this is one of the best ones.
Come
Yeah.
on, get out.
I'm
Seriously.
serious. Your story is it's inspiring.
Yeah.
I think that I there's not a lot of like interviews and things. I had to do some digging for you,
Yeah.
and for us to actually have an opportunity to really get your story out there is it's a pleasure. It's an honor.
yeah.
Oh,
And
gosh.
I mean, at the end of the day, too, we love seeing people like yourself, that are on the rise and coming up, and that's the story we love to tell too. To give other people out there, whether tips, kind of advice, the whole 9 yards. My daughter, I don't know if you know, she's in film school at UNCW.
Oh,
So
cool.
she actually was accepted to the NC School of Arts, which is where Danny McBride went.
Yeah, that whole
So-
crew went there. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
funny too, because as she goes to UNCW, all her film friends are like, you are crazy for turning down NC School of Arts to come to UNCW. But, she has no regrets. And I always tell her, anything you want in life is not going to come easy. It's going to take hard work. And, we're all pulling for you. You're a rising star in our eyes, for sure. And we would love to have you back on.
Absolutely.
Anytime you want to come back on, please let us know.
Thank you so much.
We
You
truly
guys are
appreciate it.
You're so great, and thank you so much. And I love everything we talked about. You're both just wonderful. And I promise you, when the news comes out
Yes.
about the things that I'm doing, you'll think it's really fun, and that'll be
Yeah.
exciting to talk about.
We
Oh,
will.
for sure. For sure.
We will.
Like I said,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh,
anytime
God.
you want to come back on. Before you take off, Ashley, if you can you just do a quick little plug? Hey, this is Ashley Spillers, and you're listening to Zero Dark Nerdy. So that way we can have it on some of our intros there too.
Of course.
All right.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. Hey, this is Ashley Spillers, and you're listening to Zero Dark Nerdy.
Love it. Love it. Now, look at you. Always on the spot. That Todd Phillips story is something else, though.
That's
too.
great.
It just
Isn't
started
that
off with a
wild?
bang.
Yeah,
That's
that
crazy.
was-
But seriously, again, best of luck to your and your ventures coming up. Happy holidays.
Happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas, Feliz Navidad, all that. Bye, Willow.
Bye. Thank you, Ashley. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Happy
much,
holidays,
Ashley.
you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah! Victory!
And anger management?
Fuck anger management.
Thank you for listening to Believe. You can show support to your host by subscribing to the show and giving us a 5-star rating on your preferred platform. Check us out at Believe.com and search for BLEAV on YouTube.
You know when you're listening to a true crime story that has an unbelievable plot twist that makes you stop in your tracks? That's what our podcast, People Are the Worst, brings you with each episode. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Rebecca. We're identical twins who love true crime cases that make you say, didn't see that coming, and we hate the people responsible for them. Listen to People Are the Worst now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.